and they must be won and used for the progress of all people.
We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Nothing ends here.
Oh my God.
We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them this morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God.
It happened when President Kennedy was shot, when Martin Luther King Jr. was shot, and when the hostages were freed from Iran. Dave Moore helped report all of those events from his 10 p.m. anchor desk, and he rejoins us tonight with his thoughts on this national tragedy.
I'm glad to be with you guys again.
Very
it's
nice
fun
to have
sitting
you.
up here, but not under these circumstances, of course. So many of us in this business, which more often than not, as you know, is the business of dread and disaster, like to think that our long-standing professionalism makes us impervious to catastrophe. How short our memories, how painfully short was defined for us today when we walked into our work atmosphere, our professional work atmosphere, to one that was sadly reminiscent of that day over 23 years ago to learn that our president had been shot to death in Texas. And television had allowed the entire country, and has done so appropriately and actually put it, allowed the entire community of the country to be numbed together. Then as now, the immediate ambiance was not one of grief, and shock was still too fresh for that, but it was one of a kind of a contained activity. People going about their work distractedly, no little pockets of people joking or laughing, no hollering across the room, no dashing across the room, videotape in hand to make a deadline. Each of us working at imperviousness, containment. Now, you may not recognize it, and you shouldn't. If you did, we wouldn't be fulfilling our mission here. But just as you do, as we read you the news each night, we do empathize with the meat packers and their employers in Austin. We agonize with the farmer. Our admiration and awe goes out to Bobby Polzin in fear of losing her land. The appalling events of Madison, Wisconsin have cut deep into our pride and have shattered our spirit for sport. And perhaps most painful of all, raised the level of bigotry that's inherent in all of us. Why has what happened today dropped those events, which are far closer to our hearts than Cape Canaveral and the space program, dropped those events into a diminished perspective? Because as a nation, as a community, we saw this happen. We saw it together right there at that moment. A wonderfully spirited, loving, almost saint-like New Hampshire school teacher before the very eyes of her entire country, community, blown away from us forever. All in the name of progress. Why that monster exploded, what went wrong, who cares for now? Each of us, including the professional couriers of disaster and doom, is thinking, why? Why in God's name are we doing this? Is this progress? That's what we're thinking now. But in time, as time has a way of doing, we'll recover our sensibilities and recognize, yes, that's progress. And there are some, as so many others have before them, who die for it. And once again, as the years intervene, we'll find ourselves impervious to catastrophe. Thank you, and good night.